Let's review the tools and parts and pieces and paints and adhesives and all these things. Okay, so just an overview here. First, I've got what I call the ones, which are one-handled tools, two-handled tools, sockets, bits of various kinds, router bits, things like that. Other things like clamps and whatnot, power tools, a few more AC power tools, electrical supplies, things to keep the engine running great. So the Yamaha engine, the Nissan engine, and the Honda generator, if you should get one. A few more odds and ends for plumbing. This is all about sewing. This is what I call my nautical bin, so shackles of various kinds, things like burgees and whatnot here, second nautical bin. These are screws and nuts and bolts and more odds and ends, plumbing type stuff. Down here we finally come to various paints, so spray paints, the whole paint, bottom paint, etc. Abrasives of various kinds used for prepping before painting, and adhesives, and some used batteries there. Want to recycle those things. Okay, so that's the overview. Now we'll go into depth on all these things. Are you ready for this? All right, let's go. Okay, and the bin that I call the ones. This only fits in here. This is something I looked for forever, which is a pair of grips big enough to grab the hatches, the hatch locks. It's about that big, and this is the only small enough thing that I've found that will actually work for that. A couple of different hammers and all kinds of screwdrivers. Okay, so short screwdrivers, a couple of tapes, too many tapes, Surform blade, let's see, various knives as well, there's a couple in here, scrapers of various kinds, a set of very tiny screwdrivers, and all those things that you're gonna, that you'll just need at some point or another. An end for a propane torch, scrapers, chisels, okay, calipers. Actually, everything that's in all these bins that I'm showing you are stuff that I have needed or used at one point in time. There was all kinds of stuff on the boat that was totally inappropriate that I've since gotten rid of. Okay, that's what I call the one two-handle bin. Okay, so there are more screwdrivers, pliers, vice grips. I forget what I needed that for, but it was essential for something. This is, if you're replacing the centerboard lines, this allows you to grab the line and to get it down in that small space there. That's what that one is for. Circlip pliers. There's a circlip someplace on the boat that I needed. Wire strippers, okay, various kinds of dikes and things. And there's a couple of modular electrical connectors, which is what that is for. Okay. This is, what did they call that? A hog's grin or a hog's clip or something like that? Anyway, there was some place that needed this strange tool for that. And this has also come in quite handy. This is a very small pipe wrench. So usually they're giant things, but this is the very small one that I found that has come in handy a number of times, including forceps too. Okay, so forceps. Once again, I've used all this stuff. This is saved my butt a couple of times. A pair of shears. Okay. All right. Okay. This is the. See my obsessiveness there. Okay. This is what you need to be able to change the pedals on a bicycle. All right, it's a metric thing, and it has to be no wider than that. All right, so metric and SAE sockets, and all the sockets you need in here as well, both metric and SAE. Let's see, crescent wrenches, which are needed, spark plug wrench there, and a set of these as well, okay, that snap onto these ratchets here. I also have a set of very small sockets, okay, including the articulating, the elbow that goes with those, okay. So one is metric and one is SAE Imperial. All right. Okay. Taps, dies, drill bits, etc. Okay. So these are tap sets. I've needed to drill and tap a number of holes, so that's what these are, the drill and the tap that goes with that. Okay. This is a set of bits for the for strange kinds of connectors, like or screws that that have odd heads on them and whatnot. Okay. Unused set of bits there. All this. Okay. Okay, I've done quite a bit of semi-finished work on the boat, and these are the router bits. I have a router I'll show you in just a minute here, but a whole set of, very nice set of router bits, okay, as well as the wrench, and once again I've labeled the thing that you need for that. Okay, for dremeling, these are Dremel bits here. This must be okay because it's got the right size thing for the Dremel. Okay, so all kinds of Dremel bits in there. And cut-off wheels. Okay, I've used this a number of times in making some of the stainless steel tubes and whatnot for the shade cover and things like that. Drilling out various holes, so some wood bits as well, and these as well. Okay, all these things I've actually used at one point or another on the boat. Okay, we have here our clamps. I've used these in lots of different projects. For example, doing the windows, etc. A pipe bender, which was important. This will come in handy when you drop something. That's a magnetic tip on that. This is a gear puller, okay, which has been useful. A pipe cutter, okay, which I used a couple of times. Mirror to get down, mostly under the Westerbeek. There's not much need for that anymore. Dental tools I have in here. A flare tool when you're doing the gas lines or redoing the gas lines. You need to be able to, oh, that's what this is for here. This isn't a puller, this is part of this. It goes on that way and allows you to make a proper flare on a gas line. And this is a bicycle wrench, okay, for changing a tire. All right. Okay, let's go on to the power tools. Okay, I've pretty much standardized on using DeWalt all the way through, with the exception of this. This is the only Ryobi tool that's survived. But this is an electric, 2-speed electric hand drill, which is really useful for small light stuff. Okay, this is the sander that we used for refinishing almost the entire boat. It's worked great. All right, and a battery-operated grinder, which has worked well. This is the impact wrench. Okay, the Dremel. Okay, router. I'm sorry. This is the drill, and this is the impact wrench. Okay, and a handle for the grinder. Pickup for the sander. There's 2 batteries in here, as you can see. And here's a multi-tool, okay, and this is a Dremel tool, okay. All right, and the chargers, of course, are right here. I just replaced that; it's brand new. Okay, so I'll just leave that there. A couple more power tools that you need. This has been invaluable a couple of times. Okay, jigsaw and a coiling. I think that's about 50 feet or so. Okay, so let's move on to the electrical stuff. Okay, so these are terminal covers for your batteries. Some spare NEMA cables, NEMA fittings. Okay, if you haven't seen them before, I'll show you here. So these kinds of T fittings. Okay, this is how you put NEMA networks together. Okay. This is actually marine grade cable, and you can make up extension cords or whatever that you might need for that. Some extra LED lighting. There's probably more in here than what you'll need, but at least it's there. Okay, connectors for LEDs, things like that. Okay, more following in the electrical stuff. Okay. No boat is complete without lots of zip ties. Okay, electrical tape. This is liquid electrical tape. I use this more often than this kind of stuff. Painted on, it's going to stick tighter. It's not going to come loose. This is what I've done almost all the connections in the boat with. Okay, and I've found that soldering stuff together is actually better than clamping or clamping anything together. Okay. A whole bunch of, there it is. All right, all these kind of crimp connectors. Okay, extra set of fuses. How's that open? Okay, great. All the fuses. I think this is a 20 amp, and more connectors. This is important. This is the battery level, battery density measure. Okay, and the batteries, by the way, are all testing right about in here, so they're in great condition. Red as well as black, so you can determine, you can spot your positive and negative easily, label them properly. Solder for the gun, and these are modular connectors. Okay. For those, oh, and some shrink wrap as well. Okay. All right. That'll go in there. Okay. A couple more things. You definitely need a, it's only 77, look at that. So anyway, this is an infrared thermometer, okay, which is useful for spotting hot spots or how efficient is the air conditioner working, or with the Westerbeek it was to see if all the cylinders were getting hot, things like that, okay. This is my beloved label maker. You can see how tiny it is. Love that thing. And this is a multimeter. This thing works just great. Very pleased with that. And a glue gun. So this is mostly for upholstery type work. I guess that could go back in sewing instead of in here. Okay. Parts and pieces for the Yamaha engine, the Nissan outboard, and the Honda generator. Okay. Oh, and also spare tubes for the bicycle. All right. So, this is a rebuild kit for the Yamaha. I can't be mad, we're going to need that for a while. Gaskets for changing the lower unit oil on the Yamaha, the main engine. Okay. And another set of parts here for everything. Extra spark plugs, for example. Okay. A spare pump for use on either one. This is the old carburetor. You know, it's working so well, we don't really need this. Anyway, this is the carburetor, the old carburetor for the Nissan. And a spare connector. I've got these because in the Bahamas, one of these connectors went out on the Nissan, and it was a pain in the ass because I couldn't find another one. So I've got spares for that. Plumbing fittings here. Okay. And extra parts for the Nissan, so spark plugs and an impeller, for example. Extra gaskets should you want to change the carburetor. And this is for a Honda generator, which we don't have, by the way. But anyway, the Honda 2000i, a magnetic oil cleaner in there. Okay. Okay, this should really be with the bicycles. Okay, stuff we'd needed at various points for plumbing. All right, cable clamps. So this allows you to take a cable from the inside to the outside of the boat in a waterproof way. This I was going to use on the gas hose going to the barbecue. That's what that was for. Okay, all kinds of odd fittings. For example, to refill a 1 pound propane tank, you would use this. This is an Acme to regular kind of gas fitting. So by plumbing, I also mean gas as well. And all kinds of various fittings in here. Most of the tubing on the boat is 1/2 inch. So I've got various reducers as well. Tape here for Teflon tape, and this as well. This is a little bit of disclosing dye, so if you need to figure out what the heck is going on with your water system, you can put a little dye in and figure out which goes to what. Okay, and plenty of extra hose clamps. Okay. Okay, let's move on to sewing, fabric, etc. So this is really everything except for a Sailrite sewing machine. Let's see. So we have the needles, heavy thread. This is all UV protected thread. Extra, what do they call them? Mandrels, I think. And our these parts of the snap clip. A bunch of these we're going to use up today. Okay. All right. Okay, here it is. So this is the for putting on snaps, etc. All right. And this is really all the stuff that Lee used in making the covers and also the stack pack. Extra UV thread. So once again, this is really everything except for the
Sale repair tape.
Sale repair tape. Oh, is that what this is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sale repair tape. Okay, so this actually will take care of that tiny little tear we have in the mainsail. Okay, that would do that right there. This allows you to put a grommet into something. We've not found a need for this, but at least it's brass. The kit is there if you want to put a grommet into something instead of using snaps. These are the connectors. You snap these onto the shade cover, okay, so you can put a hole or a tie down anywhere that you want in the middle of the shade connector. These things are to plug up holes where you've screwed your trim on the inside back in. So you just put that in, shave it off with a knife, and you've covered up your holes there. Okay. So what I call this is the nautical bin. Finally, we're getting down to something that's related to actually sailing, huh? Okay. So this is a winch rebuild kit, right? This is baling wire. I think that's the right name for this. I think that's called baling wire. At any rate, you use this to seize a shackle closed, for example. Okay. This is kite surfing. Okay. Some thimbles here so that you can. I have these, for example, on the. Boy, my mind is really just leaving me here. What do you call that? Our bridle. So when I made the bridle, these are what's used for that. Okay. Anyway, there's quite a good variety of things in here. Extra. These are cinches. All right. And anyway, a good variety of various kinds of relatively small connectors in here. Okay. Carabiners, shackles of various kinds. Okay. All right. An antique. Okay. Good to go there. This is the second nautical bin. Okay. This is how you tune the rigging. This is called a lose gauge. So you put your rigging line through here, and it's going to read on this as to how much tension is on the rigging. So you want to have it as a percentage of its breaking strength. So anyway, this allows you to tune your rigging. That's what that's for. Okay. Burgess, this is the quarantine flag, U.S. flag, and I believe there's a Bahamian flag in there as well. Yeah, that's what that one is. Bahamian flag. Okay. A spare fan. Okay. These fans, by the way, are precisely the ones to get. You can stick your fingers into it. I guess I'll show that later without hurting yourself. And even a spare chain grip or bridle. Really don't need two of those, but I guess it doesn't hurt anything. Okay. These are snap shackles. Okay. Got two of them here. All right. This is really used when you're flying a spinnaker. Okay. All right. Some cable locks and whatnot. Okay, a way to pump up the fenders when they go a little bit flat. Let's see. This is a rod that would fit on to allow you to position the magma stove, that barbecue, at a different place is what that's for. Seemed like a useful thing. Maybe there's going to be some use for it in the future. Okay. And shims that I've used, leveling things out. Okay. Boy, that's great to have. Okay, lose gauge. Don't lose the gauge. Okay. Right off the top here, this is the parts that you need to assemble the cockpit table, the one that used to be the dining room table that I've replaced. Anyway, you can remake that table into a beautiful cockpit table that's going to fold up and store easily and everything using these parts here. So it's all set and ready to go. You just need to put it together. All right. There was so much stuff that wasn't stainless. I've gotten rid of all that. Parts and pieces, it's all going to be here. Okay. More of that. Okay. More screws, nuts, pretty well sorted. Even more washers, rings, nuts, bolts, and even more. Okay. All right. Why would it? Oh, I know. These can really be thrown out here. These are galvanized. Anyway, when I was testing out various kinds of configurations for mounting the engine, that's where these are from. This is kind of historical, but they have no place on a boat. Okay. All right, so I'll throw these out. These go overboard. Okay. All right. Okay. After that. Okay. More plumbing type connectors here and fittings for constructing the shade canopy, for example. So you've got, you know, extras and spares of that. Let's see. Should be in a different location, but anyway, shackles are in here. Okay, good. Some more shims. All right. Now, we're almost done. Okay. This is what we've needed to repaint the boat. So as you know, the entire boat has been repainted top to bottom. So plastic gloves for weighing out, instead of trying to use volumes, the amount of paint that you need for 2 and 3 part paints. Earplugs, absolutely essential to have a VOC respirator. Okay. This is what you need for putting the non-skid on. Okay. All right. You need this as well. Okay. This is what the vinyl inside of the boat has been painted with. It works great. It's fantastic stuff. Simple spray paint, and it worked way better than I ever thought that it would. Anyway, there's extra here. It's obviously not black, it's white. Okay. I can't believe how much stuff. Okay, so here's extra Kiwi grip for the non-skid. Okay. And for doing fiberglass work, okay, we have the MAS. Here's the resin. It's a type of epoxy, and the hardener is in here someplace. Okay, so at any rate, there's this. There's a little more of the Interprotect barrier coat. Okay, this is for barrier coat under the waterline. Okay, oxalic acid. Really shouldn't be in here, but this is what you use for cleaning the hulls. It's extremely powerful acid. It's something like 10 times as strong as bleach. Okay, and then we have the West System materials here. So we have 403, 404, and the 410. So these are mixed with the fiberglass. This is the fill, and then the MAS is used for glassing. Okay. Quantum. All right. So this is what the boat is painted with, is quantum. So here's the reducer. Here's the paint itself. It separates out over time, but the color is snow white. All right. So the reducer, this, and in here someplace. Oh, here's the surface prep, and one of these should be the activator. Mass heart. Here it is. Here's the activator. Okay. So everything that you need for all the finishes on the boat. Okay. Including fiberglass repair. All right. We did way too much sanding, and here's all the evidence of that. You could probably let this go if you're not planning on doing much of that. Anyway, there's a 80 grit, 120, 220. I'm sure there's 400 in here as well, 800. All kinds of abrasive tools here. Bits, hand stuff. Oh my God, this one. Okay, this is a little hand sander for getting in those tight corners. Really handy to have that. And other sanders as well. Okay. And last down here we have adhesives of various kinds. Okay. So this is okay, this is the 795, which is used for putting in the new windows. Okay, so I have a couple tubes of 795. There is some 5200. I think it's in a different bin. And lots of different kinds of tape here. Oh, this is a fish tape, which doesn't really need to be here. Some Gorilla Glue. This is two-sided tape. Okay, that I've used in quite a few places. For example, sticking up the LED lights, putting the handles on the cabinets, those kinds of things. Okay, so lots of different kinds of tapes and whatnot, adhesives. And finally, this is simply used batteries. Okay. So there you have it, one long shot of the whole thing. So all of this stuff we've actually used on the boat at one point or another, and I think if you're considering setting sail, you should rest assured that you're pretty well stocked with whatever the heck it is that you need here. All right, thank you so much.